everybody, and welcome back to another episode of House Party. And this one is supersized. We've got about 2 weeks of gameplay to cover. So let's not waste one more second. As always, I'm Andrew Cox, joined by Ryan Duvall. Ryan, how's it going?
Going well. I have 2 weeks worth of Big Brother, so let's get started.
Right. So when we last got together, Caitlin was HOH, Scotty and Winston sit on the block, and there's this plan in place to backdoor Swaggy. So then Wednesday, we have the veto competition, this Big Brother house guest exclusive dating app challenge. What did you think about this this veto competition?
The comp itself, I thought, seemed fun. It also, to me, felt very easy. Maybe that was just because I was sitting on this end of the TV, but the clues were right in front of you, and it just seemed very, read and put in place. Some people had some trouble with it, and I didn't really understand how or why, but for the most part, I felt that it should have been an easy comp for people.
Yeah, that was something I thought looked pretty easy too, but then I chalked it up to, I'm just watching it on TV. It's probably harder than that. I mean, they showed Rachel first, and she seemed to have a pretty good. I think she came in second, but some of the people just had some real trouble with it, like Winston. Timing out. It's kind of. I didn't think it was that difficult.
No, we've seen harder comps.
Yeah, this just showed. Winston really not the competitor that I think some people thought he would be.
That would include myself. I thought, obviously, I've always said from the very beginning that he was one that I had my eye on, and wow, what a letdown that has been.
Yeah, I thought he would be too, but that became clear that he's not too big of a threat in really any form.
Not at all.
So we had Tyler coming out with the win on this veto, and since he was the one in Caitlin's ear this week, sort of telling her that maybe we should get Swaggy out, it's no surprise that he does use it on Scotty, and which leads to a very tearful moment for Caitlin.
I'm really sorry for those of you that are going to be angry at me. But I'm not promised this position ever again. So I'm really sorry, Swaggy.
So she's putting him up. Basically, she says, that he was calling her shady and sketchy, and she's a cannonball. And that's kind of why she puts him up. What did you think about this sort of backdoor moment here?
She proved him right. I think, let me just say that for Tyler to just be able to whisper in her ear a move like that, to go against her own alliance that hasn't even been a thing for more than 2 weeks, and they're already having cracks in it. And he's going to be one to watch because he has just about everyone wrapped around his finger. So I would like to put that into stone now, that I think Tyler is going to have a few more weeks left in him before people start to notice how big of a threat he is. But going back to Caitlin, I do think that it was a good move in her part because Swaggy was not there for anyone but himself. And if he had the same opportunity, he would have most likely taken it too. He was a player that was also a loose cannon that I'm very glad, strictly on his personality, to see him go, because he was not a decent human being that I would have enjoyed to have around for much longer.
Yeah, I think he would have done something like this. Had he been in the house longer, he would have turned on his people, especially Caitlin. Maybe not some of the others, but
she had the chance to strike first and she took it. So more power to her.
Yeah, I think she definitely went about it in not a great way at all. And now she's trying to sort of, we'll talk about it later, but she's trying to not exactly backtrack, but she doesn't understand why this might be an issue with some of the people in her alliance. Like, she just can't get past it. So
what I would have appreciated her more for is that if she would have done it with a smile and not have cried during the whole thing, because even after it, I mean, the whole week, it was just her whining and pouting for a decision that she had made. So if you're going to make a move, make me want to respect that move. Don't make me think that you made this move and you regret it as soon as it left your mouth. So, had she have just stuck to her guns, I would have appreciated it more. But because no, I don't.
Yeah, and she almost, well, I don't know about almost, but there was some times right after he was up or he was campaigning where it seemed like she would have just been on his side. She would would have voted to evict Winston instead, after he's campaigning to her about, his life and, I'm swearing on my dad's grave and this and that, and I need the money. And, he legitimately got to her, but luckily, Swaggy was an idiot and let Tyler be in that room for that. In fact, he encouraged it. And so now Tyler's heard every single thing that Swaggy just campaigned to her, and he can be in her ear and know exactly what he needs to say to get her to turn back. So it didn't last very long, but she was very emotional this whole week. And yeah, there was a chance that she could have let Swaggy stay.
But he didn't. So I took a hit on my team here, our fantasy teams. That's fine. That was a loss that I was willing to take.
So yeah, on Thursday, Swaggy was sent packing.
Vote of 8-4. Swaggy, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
And about the draft, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about my draft, I would say. There's a couple of duds, but that's inevitable.
You know what? I felt so confident about my draft this season. And now I am, we've completely switched roles, because now I'm worried, and now I'm looking at your team and I'm thinking, oh my God, he might have it.
I think I could at some point just win by default by having all your people just be out.
Well, the majority of my people got an alliance together, so it really, they better stick together or I'm just completely screwed.
Yeah, I think we have pieces of both alliances. But I have Angela and Rachel, and they have a final two, and then I have Tyler, so I'm glad about that. And Casey, they also have a deal. So Rockstar, she was a bit of a dud, and Steve, unfortunately, RIP, had to go first week. But what can you do?
We played that audio clip that had the vote tally. Yeah. What do you think? What do you feel about the votes?
The votes have been just the most exciting thing about this entire season. They never go where at least part of the house thinks. And it just causes so much drama. It's amazing.
Every time the Faute Alliance is in power, they still cannot win, because someone will always switch their vote. And so I'm the loyal people that are on this alliance, I feel bad for them, because even when they do everything right, they still can't get the target that they need out.
And that's the thing is, these weeks it was Caitlin flipped on Steve, and then she put up Swaggy, which made her alliance not trust her. But now this most recent week, they all voted together, as we'll get to, with voting Brett. And just for all these other weeks, they can't get together and trust each other, that they all voted the same way because of how the previous weeks have gone. And it's just they refuse to believe that Tyler or JC or anybody else could have possibly flipped, and they'll make up excuses, but it's like the core people that are Faute have been voting mostly together this entire time, and it's just so funny to watch them scramble and try and figure out which of them flipped, and it was none of them. It's been Tyler flipping. So yeah, the votes have been, making this season just incredibly entertaining every single week.
Keep you on your toes for sure.
And their faces, I love, blind sides. So it's very entertaining.
It's a giant 180 from what the previous season was. I mean, you have no idea on any predictability whatsoever. Last season, I could have told you the name and number and order of the evictees. This season, all up in the air. And that's how it should be. And I'm glad that we're back to it.
And even if the rest of this season just somehow is totally boring, or I don't know what could possibly happen, but even if it declines in quality, I mean, this is still like the best season since, I don't know, probably 14, if you ask me. I mean, I know a lot of people like 17, but
there is one way that this season could go downhill, and we will get to that later. But if it follows in footsteps, it could be bad for this season.
All right, well, we will get to what you were talking about here. So Swaggy sent packing, and then we get a Scotty HOH win after a tie-breaking question between himself and Rachel.
Which Rachel wasn't even close. Like, her math.
I mean, neither of them were close. I don't know what they were like. Oh, the competition was only like 8 minutes or something, and they really stretched that on TV with, they made that HOH comp into like 8 or 30 minutes with all the diary rooms and the suspense. It's like, my gosh, that was only 8 minutes. I would have thought it was, 13,000 seconds or whatever she put. It was hilarious. She had like long division and algebra going on over there, and it was like 400 seconds. I was like, my gosh, how embarrassing. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. We got a Scotty win after he threw that hinky vote in when he voted out Swaggy, and then he wins this HOH similarly to the week before when Caitlin voted to Evic Steve, and then she wins the HOH. What did you think about that hinky vote on there?
I thought that was a smart move on his part. I mean, he even wore the Swaggy C shirt. He played up the whole character. I mean, it even threw off Swaggy C because Ross Matthews and Melissa from Celebrity Big Brother, they have their own after show.
Yeah.
And so they revealed to Swaggy that he was, in fact, the swing vote. And if you like reactions, that's definitely one to see because it's brilliantly played out. But I thought it was so smart. And then the fact that the swing vote getter is the person who gets HOH is just one of the best moves, because even if they do figure it out, they can't touch you for a week. And so that is awesome because you still have the upper hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I thought it was good for him that he won that, just so nobody could really talk to him about it for that week. And hopefully some of that, people caring about that will die down in that amount of time. But yeah, even when Swaggy went out to talk to Julie, he was like, you could tell he thought it was Haley, and that was hilarious because he was like, I got a feeling, it was Haley. I didn't give her a hug on the way out. She didn't want to wear the shirt or whatever. And Julie's like, Haley voted to keep you. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy.
Don't you just feel like a dick?
So Scotty gets the HOH.
And this is where I get mad.
This is where you get mad. So he puts up Brett and Winston as his nominees. Is that what made you mad?
Yep.
Why did that make you mad?
Well, Winston was my boy, and then Brett is still Brett the douche, but he actually I gained respect for him because I did like that he actually started to play, and you got to see more of him, and all of the bro jokes and metaphors and everything disappeared, and so he was more of a actual human being instead of a douche. And the friendship that he had with Winston, if a friend of his is a friend of mine, so I dealt with it, and I kind of wish that I think Winston was the better player, so I would have liked to have seen him stick around. But the two of them, I thought between the two of them, I really thought one of them would have pulled out the veto, but I was sadly mistaken. I was close. They were close, but they didn't pull through.
Brett was close. That's what I think. Brett is much. I don't know about much, but I think is the better player compared to the two of them.
Are you physically or mentally?
Just both.
Both.
Okay. Yeah, Brett, I mean, he was much better in the Mamma Mia competition that we're going to get to. And Winston is a terrible mental and social player. He's just way too intense. And they talk about it at some point on the episode, his facial expressions, he just gives everything away when he talks. And yeah, I think Brett, as we see with his speeches, and the mist that Scotty keeps talking about, he's just so charismatic when he talks. I get lulled into, I'm like, what? Oh, he's not that, I don't know. He's a salesman, but he's not that, he doesn't have a mist, I wouldn't say, but I guess it really got Scotty,
But
what did you think about Scotty had this plan when he was coming up with the nominees to, when he's talking to everyone, doing the one-on-one, asking who they trust or who's one person that they don't trust. And he's trying to get this information so that it looks like when he picks them as the nominees, it's not his choice. It's the house's choice.
I mean, that he was just looking for a scapegoat. I mean, I think he knew who his targets were, but he needed to kind of reel in some other people's opinions. So when his choice is made, he can say, hey, I wasn't the only one who thought this. But I think he knew exactly who he was going to put up as soon as he won. He was after the bromance because he saw that they were a threat, especially to him. Because he clearly lacks the physical ability that those two didn't.
But they got to go for the dork, and the nerd. So he's got to protect himself.
And if you do look back at previous seasons, the dork gets far because the dork is always underestimated. So they had every right to target him.
Especially, and I feel like he is more physically competitive than the normal nerd archetype that they get in there.
And I'll agree with you based solely on the veto challenge where he was spinning around. I've never seen anyone spin as quickly as he did. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, where he says they put that metal music on there. It looks like he's what are they, in a mosh pit or something. It was hilarious.
I thought that maybe production sped it up, but they pulled out and showed everyone in a line, and he was going way faster than everyone else. There's no wonder how he won. I mean, just watching him, I was amazed by how quickly he was going compared to other people who were, their lives in this game were on the block, and they were just taking their sweet ass time.
Yeah, he was killing it. And he said, I think in his intro package that he was, very active and does sports stuff. And so I'm not surprised. But now I think people know that. So they're not underestimating him as much as he might have first come off. But yeah, so we had that Mamma Mia veto, and also up for grabs a trip to Greece.
Yep,
so
which
they
he also
much
walked
better
away
than
with.
them just letting the winner watch the Mamma Mia. I feel like they would have done that in the past. Pick two people and you can watch Mamma Mia. Here we go again. But I don't.
That is a better tie-in comp. Sometimes these tie-in comps are just like they just kind of slap a name on it, and they're like, "Oh, this is the Scorpion Challenge. Remember Scorpion from CBS coming this fall?" And this one, I mean, it seemed like a fun comp. Like, it didn't seem that it was too forced as some of the other ones have been.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that it wasn't just the Ballerina again. That's kind of what I was thinking it was going to be. And then they, changed it up a little bit with the stacking. So
how do you feel how you would have done in this comp?
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to tell just how dizzy you would be. Like, I feel like it's not that hard, but then, like at the beginning, maybe it's not too bad, but after you've spun around like 3 or 4 times, where you had to do it 15 times each, I think it was. You're probably pretty dizzy. I thought, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad as Winston, who was just like knocking his things over and over.
And Brett was so close. I really thought he had it, but I mean, he really flew too close to the sun by not. I guess he thought maybe he could beat the timer, but
yeah, I was confused by it because on the live feeds before this episode came on, and we didn't actually know what the veto competition was. We could only hear what they were talking about. Everyone kept saying that, like, oh, Brett would have won if he had just understood the rules. Like, he just misunderstood what was going on. He had it in the bag.
I don't think he misunderstood, because he had it right the whole time until he, lost the time on the clock.
That's what, yeah. I was like, it didn't look like he didn't know what he was supposed to do. It just kind of looked like he, I don't know, thought he could finish and he couldn't. Maybe he thought that if he decided to be a have-not for the week, that he didn't have to knock his whole castle over. But
well, I don't think that is ever an excuse in this, because I'm not positive, but it seems like production would be sure to make the rules very clear before the competition, the things that we don't see. Because I know as a viewer, when just the instructions are read to me, I have a hard time understanding until I actually see it happen. And I'm like, I see what the rules are now. And I know that for a fact, them standing there in that backyard, they're all scratching their head thinking, what? How am I supposed to do this? Because they don't even get the visuals that the show gives us as viewers. So production has to be like, all right, guys, listen up. Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Right, I'm sure they are. I mean, and it wasn't even like that had that many moving parts. Like, you spin, you stack, you have so much time. You can put the champagne and thing in there if you want to be a have-not. I don't know. But he was really close, but didn't quite pull it off. So after Scotty wins the veto, Brett and Winston come up with this plan to try and get Scotty to take Brett off and put up Caitlin as a replacement, telling him that, she got your ally Scotty out. She, flipped a vote on Steve. And hey, we could have this secret 3-person alliance. No one would suspect it. The nerd and the jock, who would believe this? And
I thought that was a pretty enticing offer.
It wasn't terrible. I don't think, Scotty was ever going to take it.
It wasn't, but they did play, they used his emotion that was their thinking. Like, they got your best friend Steve out, and then your alliance member Swaggy, like, she was a part of all that. She was clearly the easiest target for them to point a finger at. And so I think that was smart. I don't think there was anyone else that they could have easily been like, if anyone was to go up, it would be definitely Caitlyn.
No, I think they did the best that they could in the situation. That sucks. They're both on the block next to each other. They didn't win the veto. So what are you going to do? We have to try and convince him. And I think they made the best possible case. But it just wasn't enough. And then what I didn't like so much was that, Scotty tells Caitlyn that this happens, that they threw her under the bus, basically, which was, that's one thing. You can tell her, fine. But I did not like how he came out on went on the bridge when she was calling Brett and Winston out. And he's like, yeah, I told her what you said. I was like, why are you getting yourself into all of this? You could have just not said anything about this and just not used the veto. I don't understand why he had to insert himself into this needless drama.
Well, if anything, that kind of proved Winston and Brett's, theory. You might want to get her out because she's, a laugh away from a tear. So she just proved it, but obviously it wasn't enough. And as we said before, his picks for elimination were set in stone as soon as he won. So why would he bother changing his vote now?
Right. Yeah. I just don't know why he would want to, I don't know, make them even more upset after he's put them up, not use the veto. Why he would be like, hey, I told Caitlyn when y'all came up there, made this deal, and I told her that you threw her under the bus. I don't know. I feel like it would have been better for his game to just let that go under the radar.
I think it was more of a diversion. I think he was just kind of done with all of he didn't really want to waste his time, talking with everyone. He had it. He just, I think he wanted to have a little fun and just kind of told Caitlyn. And we all know Caitlyn's going to blow up because she's
Caitlyn.
Probably most definitely the most emotional person in the house. We've seen that time and time again. So, hey, go have a little fun with it. You're safe, Scotty. You're not going anywhere. Put some kindle in the fire.
So then we actually get the veto ceremony, and Winston, has sort of a nothing speech, and then we get something interesting from Brett.
Oh, Scotty, sweet Scotty, your arms are large like a honey glazed ham, your chest burly like a big man, your eyes captivating like the sea. I just had a vision. You're supposed to take me off. Now is the time, Scotty. Take me off. Thank you.
What a speech.
One of the best veto speeches. I will say that was the moment where I realized that I did actually like Brett. And I thought that vision, we obviously couldn't show it because this is an audio podcast, but the reaction of Caitlyn was priceless.
Hilarious. Yeah, this was when I really started to come around on Brett also. He was, he's funny. He's a funny guy. He's very enjoyable to watch. This was great. His face when he's doing the vision and he's convulsing. Oh my gosh. It's too good. Unfortunately,
but it wasn't enough.
Although part of me wished that Scotty did just change his mind right then and be like, since you did have a vision, I guess I have to use it on you. Just because I thought that would be fun TV, but then we wouldn't get what happens on Thursday. So it was still worth it.
I know.
So
and
Thursday
it happened.
Brett Winston, the bromance gonna be separated, and Brett makes this last ditch effort to. Well, he knows he's safe. Basically, it's not really a last ditch effort. He just wants to, throw this target on Rockstar by telling everybody during his speech that she came to him before to say that she would keep him to stay, and it would be a 6-5 vote. And a 6-5 vote happens, and Winston goes home, and Rockstar is in shambles. She's in absolute shambles.
I mean, all this took place on her daughter's birthday.
I can't believe on my daughter's birthday.
How dare he?
That was disgusting.
It was gross that he would even do that on her daughter's birthday eve. Not even her daughter's birthday is the next day, but her daughter's birthday eve, just as important. How dare you?
You are disgusting.
Did you notice that everyone who seemed to vote had some sort of someone with a birthday?
I know.
There were at least 3 or 4. I was like, is it the same person? Do they all know this one person?
It's like, happy birthday, Mom, Dad, Uncle Tommy. Hey, guys. Oh, next person, like, oh, happy birthday. I was like, Jesus, they got to tone this down. I think I read something that, the producers are getting tired of everyone doing these shout outs in there.
They're not as bad as usual. Sometimes they last so long, but I can do with, hopefully the birthday is a once a year thing. So we won't have to deal with it again.
Yeah, no, everyone had a birthday that week for sure.
Right. Even though it may have felt like it.
So that's cute. That's real cute. That's cute. That's cute. Real cute.
Oh my gosh.
If Brett were to target anyone, I would think that Rockstar would be the most applicable because, clearly she doesn't seem to have it together game-wise nor just kind of personally. Obviously, she's kind of a freak. So the fact that he just kind of got the ball rolling, and, that's something that we'll see later on in the week is that, this little, name drop causes her to lose her mind. And when she loses her mind, she can't focus. And when you can't focus, you can't progress in this game. So we'll see what happens.
No, yeah, he did. I think this was better than any. Like, this went past his expectations, by far. I don't think he expected as much of a reaction from her as he ended up getting, all week long. She would not shut up about Brett. She still hasn't. She's just only talks about Brett. Brett. It's insane.
But I will say that, Winston also had a good speech. He had information, but he said, I'm not going to disclose that, making himself a helpful asset if he did stay. And even after he was eliminated, though, he took that information with him outside the house, which honestly, at that point, I would have just been like, well, you know what? Here's the deal. And would have just exposed everyone on my way out, because if I'm going down, I'm going to take everybody else with me.
Exactly. I don't know why he wouldn't have just tried to use that in his speech. I guess I don't know, maybe he was just really hopeful and positive that there was going to be a battle back. I don't know. Well,
he was able to give his speech after Brett. So I think Brett already dug himself a hole. So he figured if he could just kind of play it safe, maybe he could. And I honestly thought that Sam was going to vote his way. I thought that maybe he would have gotten to pull her heartstrings a little bit. Or at the very least, have Sam use her power. That's what almost shocked me the most, is that the power wasn't used. Use it now when 2 of your allies are on the block. You have no idea who's going to be nominated next week when it has to be used. So use it now when you have a choice. That's what I found most shocking about the whole episode.
Yeah, that power is causing some issues for sure at this point. And now he's out, Winston, and knows that she was on the fence about using it. And I'm sure that's not making him too happy that she didn't. But
I think that was a bad bad choice on her part.
It definitely seems that way now, where we're at in the week. Because, so do you want to?
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, because this episode has been very eventful.
Yes, this season, just every episode is, ends up being more jam-packed than the last. So on Sunday, we get the rest of the HOH competition, the endurance, and big surprise, Rockstar and Fessy fall first. Poor guy. He just was so excited to win a competition, thought that he could do endurance, and then the tree tilted at like the angle that was too much for his body.
That's the thing. The bigger people, that's not there. That's why I really thought JC would have had this one in the bag. Nope. Instead, JC had more screen time for other reasons, but not because of his HOH.
He says that he slipped off, but I think that if he didn't throw it, then he probably should have anyway, because would have been no reason for him to get blood on his hands this week, because he is in a perfectly fine spot right now with everybody.
Well, if you're using that logic, the HOH that did win probably shouldn't have won either.
No, it absolutely boggles my mind when Sam, her and Tyler are the final two up there, and she is like demanding that he get off so that she can win the HOH. And I'm just like, why on earth, of all the weeks, would she want to win this HOH? Why?
Right. And this demanding demeanor that she has lasts throughout the whole episode, which is a stark contrast to what she was on week 1 when she was crying and pouting about being on the block and being a robot. And now she's like, all right, I got power. Listen up, people. I'm going to tell you how it's going to go.
Oh, yeah. She's an interesting character. She is, honestly, she's pretty weird. She's up there. She's telling him, like, get off. This is mine. I just want to win. And then she gets the key and is, this is my room. You're not coming in. I already know who I'm putting up. We're not going to be campaigning. I'm not going to talk to anybody. Blah, 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 blah. This is my house, people. And it was really off-putting.
Which doesn't make any sense, because the campaign of the other house guests is how you create the friendships and alliances and the votes that you need. That's the whole point of the HOH, is to gather information and people. And so when you're just like, I don't want anything to do with that, that doesn't make any sense, along with the fact that this week of all weeks, whoever she does manage to send home automatically has the battle back power that she also possesses. So in other words, more than likely, the person that she had the biggest hand in going home is going to walk right back through that door, and she knows it.
Exactly. It makes no sense. And this, not going to get into spoilers yet, but her attitude has absolutely blown up in her face this week. I just don't know what she was thinking winning, and what she was thinking going about this week the way she did. And at the nominations ceremony, putting up Caitlin and Haley and basically saying, you are the opposite of women's empowerment, and the way you are treating the men, like, I don't know. She was just acting very holier than thou, and not,
Right. Well, and the people on Twitter caught onto that, and they consider it slut shaming. And honestly, from what I've gathered on Twitter, is that any chance that this girl had of winning America's Favorite is kind of out the window at this point. She did win the app, but I don't see her winning anything else after this week because she didn't make herself very likable.
She won the app as a sad robot, but when she has the power, people did not like it. No. So it's been an interesting week.
The beginning of this Sunday episode was also interesting. Not since season 15, as we spoke to Judd about before, has there been a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like, oh my gosh, there, because Julie had already teased on Thursday that they were going to talk about the JC and Bailey discussion. And so when I turned on the episode on Sunday and they had that little disclaimer, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yep. But so that has happened before season 15, and Judd explained that kind of caused the whole season to be blacklisted and really not referenced as it could have been. So with this season going as well, entertainment wise, I hope that this isn't something that's going to cause it to go down the wrong path, because the people in this cast are great. And I would like to see some of them again, maybe not back in the house again, but to appear, right, make cameos. That's fine. But if your season's blacklisted, you're not going to be popping up anywhere.
No, I don't think they're at that point. Like, well, the part in the episode that they pretty much had that for, it was not a big deal. Like, it was not as it was in previous seasons, like season 15. It was not a hateful conversation. They were just using language that, I guess they felt they needed to put that disclaimer there.
But the conversation itself, I felt, was blown out of proportion. Bailey asked JC, are you considered a midget? Which is, I guess, a derogatory term for little people. And he said, well, I don't appreciate that. That would be like me using that word. So, had it have just ended there, had Bailey have just understood that, the equality of it, then they could have moved on and everything would have been fine. Actually, the show probably wouldn't have even mentioned it, to be quite honest with you. But they kind of had to make a scene out of it. So therefore, we had to deal with it on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I liked the segment. I thought it was a little maybe too long, but it did seem kind of like something that kind of a bit that they haven't done in a while. Like, it's something that I feel like they used to do on the older seasons, where they would have these sort of more personal segments of two people talking about their differences. And it was nice, but it was a bit long. And I feel like if they hadn't hadn't teased it on Thursday, because I figured that they thought that this episode wasn't going to have a lot of stuff because of it's a dead week, basically.
Boy,
they were wrong. And now they felt like they had already said that they were going to have it, so they had to have it in there. But yeah, I think it was blown out of proportion on the internet, because they did have I think they just sort of both misunderstood each other, and we just watched them misunderstand each other for like 15 minutes. But I think it ended up being fine. So,
right, as long as it doesn't pop up again, it should be fine. But JC has had controversy before, so we'll see if he gets reprimanded in a new way. I mean, 3 strikes and you're out. So hopefully he doesn't try to do anything again, because he also doesn't have a chance in hell at America's Favorite.
You don't think so?
I mean, he didn't have this before. He wouldn't have gotten it even before this. So
who do you think has a good chance?
Honestly, depending on how the final two goes, I could see Tyler winning it.
Yeah.
He seems likable, and he knows how to play the game.
I think he's got a good shot, too. If he stays on for a while, which I think he will.
I mean, because everyone else kind of has their quirks. I mean, and then I'm also judging based on who has won the crap apps and who has won the power apps. Obviously, you know, if you got a crap app, you weren't the most liked, and you probably won't gain the likes by the end of the season. But you could, depending on how you play. But, you know, if I was a betting man, I'd say probably not.
It's true. So, let's see. So yeah, all that happened on Sunday, and we also got the fallout from another blindsided vote. So the Faute people thought that the vote was going to be, what was it, 7-4 for Brett to leave, and it ended up being 6-5 for Winston to leave. So they were like, wow, two people have flipped on us, and now they are just running around the house. They don't know who to trust, particularly Fessy.
But thank God Caitlin's a clairvoyant, because that just seems to be so accurate. She just guesses. Like, she's just sitting there and she's like, I'm just going to pull this idea out of thin air and I'm going to run with it, and people are going to believe me.
Right, because she's sitting there, they're trying to figure out who's done this, and they're like, could it have been Tyler and JC? Which it was them. No way. No, they can't do that. They both told me that they didn't flip, and that they can't lie. They looked at me and they told me that they can't lie.
So it has to be a power app where you can switch two votes whenever you want and just do this and this and this, because that's more logical. That makes more sense. Right.
It's a power, what? And you can't. Nobody has to say anything about it. It just happens, and it this is exactly it, because Tyler would never lie to me. I love Tyler. He would never.
Oh, it's going to come back to bite you.
Yes.
It's always the ones you least expect.
So it was a wild ride, and they didn't show it really on the episode, but immediately when they were done with this competition and everyone had seen what Brett had said on the Thursday episode, she buys it immediately. Like 10 minutes later, she's sitting on his lap and she's like, oh yeah, I believe that Rockstar said that to you. I don't believe that she voted for you to stay, but I believe that she had that was a real conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy he can't believe this is happening. Like, that people are actually buying this. She is just so gullible.
Hey, wrapped around his finger.
Both of them. Tyler and Brett and Fessy, really.
I mean, you can't blame him. He's the one that's playing the game the best. On our Twitter, we ran a poll and, simply asked, who do you think is playing the best game? Unanimously, everyone said Tyler.
And yeah.
So, I mean, if all of these Big Brother fans are all in agreement that this guy is playing the best, and this is a pretty packed season, like, people are actually attempting to play. And so that bodes real well for him.
Yeah, everyone's here to win, and it's making for an exciting season. So even on this dud week, we've had nothing but excitement. So I'm interested to see on Thursday just exactly what the chance to get back in is. Who is evicted? Will they come back? How everyone react? It's going to be exciting.
Can't wait to see what happens. What do you think will happen without spoiling? You just kind of throw some ominous words
I
our way.
think, well, that's not to spoil, but I think everyone's in for a little bit of a surprise. With Sam as the HOH, there is the potential this week, numbers wise, to be a tie vote. And I don't think that it's really clear who's going to go home right now.
Could you imagine if Sam had to be the tiebreaker and then have to use her own power to bring that person back? So not only did you nominate this person, but you personally evicted them yourself, only to have them walk back through the door and smile right back at you. Like, she really shouldn't. Like, any other week would have been so much more beneficial for her. I'm still trying to wrap my head around why this week in particular.
It makes no sense at all. And not really a spoiler, but they just don't understand the power. Like, I mean, they understand that it says a chance, but she and other people, they're convinced that it's like a battle back. And I'm just like,
right.
We know it's not
true.
So they're trying to play it off that way. But no, it's going to be whoever leaves that right then is coming right back. If they succeed at their chance.
Right. What do you think that chance will be? Like, what can you do alone?
There was something on, I think it was the first week of Steve's eviction, or maybe it was the next one. But apparently the camera cut to the room where they used to have the power apps, and there was like some sort of puzzle type thing set up. So people are speculating that it's going to just be a one-person challenge and they have to succeed to get back in the house. So I think it'll be something like that. Or they'll go and they'll play in the HOH. And if they get to a certain point, then they are back in the game and they are competing for the HOH also.
Huh.
Or it could be something like America Vote, because they can manipulate that. So it'll be like the whole trending thing,
true.
Are you trending enough? Let's see, live on Twitter right now. It's like, oh, yes, you are. Go back in right in.
That'd be a real cash in. I don't know if they would do that. Hopefully not. I'd rather it be some sort of skill rather than something that could be easily manipulated like that.
I think it'll happen like right then. Like, we'll see it happen either way. But I think that they are going to make it in a way that very, very good chance that the person is coming back. Because if they don't come back, I think we'll be getting a jury battle back for scheduling.
Yeah, based on the schedule, I definitely think we'll have another returnee.
Yeah.
Hey, jury management, it's an
Sure
important
is.
part.
As we know from season 19.
One of the best finales.
Truly amazing.
Well, only time will tell. We'll see if our predictions are right or not. And we'll be back